Okay, so here's the review. I've actually got the TV final opened, and I'm just going to go through all the questions in it, and we'll see how y'all do. Okay?
Whoa.
So, describe the rule of thirds and be specific about where the eyes go.
The eyes,
You can participate, Dylan.
The rule of thirds is the
You all
theory
got
that
top
every
thirds.
shot should be divided by 2 horizontal lines, thus putting it in thirds. And the eyes should fall on what we call the eye line, which is the top horizontal line. The rule of thirds also works for vertical lines. You can divide into thirds, and you can cheat someone to the left or right using where the lines intersect by putting their eyes where the eye line intersects with the horizontal or the vertical line. Yeah.
Very good. And remember that there's something called lead in space and talk in space. So when we're following the rule of thirds, we want to also follow that. So if I am talking, do I want the rule of thirds to be behind me?
no, you want it to be
I
facing
want it to
your
be,
head.
yes, exactly.
You want to have
Do you want
space
us-
in front of you.
Do you want us to answer
Yep.
that with that?
What?
Do you want us to answer with to add the lead and space stuff to our answer?
Yes, yes. Now you guys should understand lead in space and talk in space. And so it would be good to include that, because if you just say you put them on one side or the other, remember, Christina Not So Bright is a part of this class, so she might think that it's a good
Very
idea
specific.
to put them the wrong way. So be very specific.
We love Christina Not So Bright, even if
We
she is a
stand
little
her.
dumb.
She's love.
Okay, remember all those floor directing hand signals?
Yeah.
Okay, ready?
Stand by.
Okay, yes, stand by.
And 5, 4, 3, open mics, cue.
Cue. Okay, what does this mean?
That means
Come here. Come here.
Move closer.
Move
move
closer.
close.
Move closer. So wherever you're at, you got to move closer. What's this mean?
Move
Move
farther.
farther
back.
Get away.
Yeah.
Get away
Back
from
up.
me.
Back up. What's this mean?
Quiet.
Quiet.
What's
Quiet.
this mean?
Listen
Speak up.
Speak
Let's
up.
speak up.
Yeah. Yeah. So you're telling
'Cause
people to
that
speak
means
up.
I can't hear you.
Yes.
It's like I have
What
to
does
talk.
this mean?
It's like 30 seconds.
30 seconds. Very good, Dylan. What's
Oh.
this mean?
Stand by? Or no. Is that
Closed
is that
fist.
Is that the
15?
15?
15.
Yeah, 15.
Because remember, we do these with, it's good to be able to do these with one hand in case you're holding a GoPro with the other, or in case you have a clipboard because you're producing something. All right, very good. Headsets. If you saw a picture of the router or the routing panels in the studio, would you know where headsets?
Headsets
hooked
go
in?
into intercom,
That is correct. And would you know what kind of cord you need to use?
an XLR.
Yes, very good. All right. What is the difference between those routing panels in the studio?
Intercom goes specifically to the control room, correct?
Right, but so if we looked at the
The different ones are set to different parts of the control board,
audio.
the audio.
in what different parts?
I think it's like 1 through 9.
What are they?
The faders,
Mics.
the buses.
Mics.
Mics.
Yes. So you can plug in, if the rats hadn't eaten the back wall,
So then it
we would be able to plug in 12 microphones into there.
yeah, it goes on the panels, doesn't it? It goes 1, 2, 3, 4, other panel,
5,
5,
6,
6, 7,
7,
8,
8.
9, 10, 11, 12, and then it goes 13, 14, 15, 16 on the same panels, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then it continues.
Yep.
17, 18, 19.
Yep, very good. Could you recognize an SOT if one was presented to you?
Yeah,
Yes.
because an SOT is just when you cut from the studio to a pre-recorded video that has sound in it.
Right. So what does VO stand for?
Video.
Voiceover, which is
Voiceover.
a video without sound that the anchors speak over.
So could you recognize one of those?
Yeah.
Okay. What's that thing called? What's the name of the paper that holds all the information that has the slug and the
The
time and
rundown.
the
Rundown.
rundown is correct. Very good. What if we were shooting outside and we got a white balance properly? What white balance would we have? If you have to
56.
average,
Because it's outside.
5600.
5600.
Yeah, 'cause blue
And
is
then
56.
indoors is 30,
32.
32.
Yeah, and what's the color difference there?
Blue and orange.
Right, which one's which?
The
Oh,
outdoor
blue
one
is
is
outside.
compensating for the blue light, and then the indoor one is compensating for the orange light.
Yeah, so outside
So
you're
it's gonna white balance
compensating
it to
for
make
it.
Right.
blue.
So light coming in from the window is going to have a blue tint to it, And light coming from our incandescent light kit would have an orange tip to it. All right, what does the CCD do?
CCD, that's the camera control.
That's the charge couple device.
Charge
Yeah.
couple device. It splits the beams into the RGB.
Yeah, and so it's just basically the imaging device for the camera. The bigger the CCD, the better light it handles, the better image we're gonna get. The smaller, the less well it does with light, and the less quality the image is gonna be. So it really just takes light and turns it into energy. So obviously,
It's a transducer.
yeah, if you have a lot of space, you're gonna get a lot more energy, which is gonna translate into better video.
Also, isn't it 3 CCD? If something's 3 CCD, it separates all the light and then mixes them back in together.
Right, so you
You
can
have
either
the
have
ability-
three, like the big cameras have 3 CCDs. What color are those CCDs?
RGB.
Right, what does RGB stand
Red,
for?
green, and blue.
What's special about green?
That's a very good question, Caroline.
Green carries all of our luminance information.
Oh.
Yeah,
and
so the
that's
brightness and the
waveform on
contrast, yeah,
shows
yeah.
green.
Well, it doesn't show green, it's just that you've got red, green, and blue, but one of those channels also has to carry all the light information, you know, all the contrast information, and that's
Yeah.
carried on the green channel. Yeah.
I was making a connection that wasn't there. I was like, is that why the waveform monitor shows it in green?
Okay, our cameras can shoot in 3 different sizes of HD. What are they?
1920, 1080,
1080 by 720.
and then 1440.
1440
Yeah.
by 1080.
1440.
No,
720 and 1440, is that it?
yeah, no, 720
No?
by, no, I'm gonna get this right, 790 by,
1440? Or no?
No,
We're
no,
getting
No,
it's
it's
some-
1020 by 10.
Which
Oh my
which
God.
resolution?
which
one?
resolution? 720.
Oh, no,
720 by 1280.
1280.
1280.
1280.
Yeah,
that's
720
right.
by 1280, 1440 by,
1080.
yes,
1080, yeah.
yeah. And what's the difference between an I and a P?
Interlaced and progressive. Which
Ooh,
is,
that was in stereo. Compliments of the
Whoa.
stereo boys. All right, yeah, interlaced and progressive. And what does that mean to anyone?
Oh, progressive means it scans each individual line as it goes, but progressive means it does them all at once, correct?
1445.
Or no, interlaced means it does them all at once.
No.
No, do I have that backwards?
Interlaced does
We've
all
talked
of
about
the
this a lot.
odds and then all of the evens, and
Yes.
then progressive does it line by line.
Right, right.
Always
So with,
starting at the left top corner and ending at the right bottom corner.
yeah, so you know that if I am shooting a sporting event and I know that I'm going to want to freeze things or slow-mo it, it would be better to shoot in progressive, because if I freeze a frame of interlaced, I'm only going to get half the lines. Whereas if I freeze or a field of interlace, where if I freeze a field of progressive, I'm going to get all the lines. So that's really, it's nice that you can answer that, and that's good that you understand it. But the real reason why you need to understand that is because different applications require different needs.
I didn't write down I didn't have enough time to write down 1445 what?
1080.
1080. Okay.
Yeah, and honestly, 1440 is a weird JVC size. You'll rarely see that. 720 is standard, and so is 19.
I remember the minimum. It's like the minimum to be considered HD.
Yeah,
is
720.
but it's HD.
All right. Name me the 3 lights in a 3-point lighting scenario.
The key, fill, and backlight.
Yes. Tell me what's special about each one of them.
The backlight illuminates like their shoulders and their back,
Yep.
and then the key light illuminates most of their front, but the fill light is to fill in where the key light doesn't illuminate.
Yeah, and which one of those is brighter, the key light or the fill light?
The key.
The
light.
key.
Yeah. A lot of times it's almost double the fill light.
Yeah.
But lighting is an art. So if you want a really even look, you would have the fill light and the key light almost exactly the same wattage. But if you want a little bit of shadow on one side, then you'd want the fill light slightly less than the key light. Let's see, what are those things called, those metal flaps in front of a lighting instrument that control the spread of the light beam?
Barn doors.
Yeah. You guys clearly have been studying.
Clearly.
No, we just get to do
We've
it.
been in a class
We use this
Studying
information
for-
consistently.
a couple months now.
Okay, this one's a hard one. Are you ready?
Born ready.
Okay, this is a multiple choice. I'll even give you the multiple choice.
Let's go.
Okay. A lighting instrument that produces diffused light with a relatively undefined beam edge. Is it a spotlight, a Fresnel, or a floodlight?
Say that again?
So it's a lighting instrument that produces diffused light, which means it's light that's kind of scattered.
Is it floodlight?
A soft.
Yeah, a softbox would do it.
Softbox.
A floodlight would do it because it's flooding the room with light. And so usually if you have a really defined light, it's going to cause a lot of shadows. Once you start to widen out that beam, it's less intense because you're taking that same amount of light and you're putting it across the room. I'd be curious to see what this video looks like.
It's gonna be a lot of that wall.
Yeah, probably. What is the term for the color filters that we put in front of spotlights or floodlights to give the light beam a specific hue?
Oils. Films. What is it?
What'd you say?
Gels.
Gels, yes. G-E-L.
I did gels.
Geel.
Okay, so, you know we're talking about exposure, right? If we talk about exposure, what is the name of the ring on your camera that would help you adjust the light coming into the camera?
The iris.
Iris.
Very good. Is there any other name? That the iris is fine? There's nothing wrong with an iris? Is there any other name that you might hear occasionally?
Would it be not the shutter?
Shutter?
Right?
No, not the shutter.
Yeah.
Occasionally you'll hear aperture.
Aperture. Oh,
That's
yeah,
it.
like
We
portal.
tend to use iris, but just
Like
so you.
portal.
Guys, it's just like my favorite video game.
It's like
Um,
Oh my god, no way, no.
World famous Valve video game Portal.
well, this might be new information, but you need to know this anyway. So I'm giving you new information
Whoa.
alert.
Brand new.
Brand new. So you know how we have all these different ways we measure things, like for distance, inches and feet and all that. Light has a measurement, and it is called, are you ready for this?
Yeah.
Is it?
Lux. L-U-X. And lux is equal to so many foot candles. But when you are going out to buy lighting instruments, like lights, they'll tell you how much lux it's and a lot of times when you purchase a new camera, it'll tell you what kind of lux it'll work in, like what's the lowest lux that you can get a picture in.
So that would be like
Yes. So low lux
Low
now
lux.
makes
Makes it
sense.
really bright.
that evil,
Yeah,
evil
low
little
lux
button
is what you
tormented
use when
me
you
on
are in a
Monday.
low lighting situation. Low lux.
That makes sense.
All right.
Everything makes sense.
Everything makes sense. What does white balance do?
Light balancing adjusts the color balance to accommodate for what kind of lighting you have.
So, like, give me an example.
If you are indoors and your lighting is warm, things will look yellowish or orangish instead of true white. So the camera will ignore some of the orange tint and add some of the bluish tint to accommodate, so make it look true white. on
Right.
video
So whenever
in
you
real
put
life.
that white sheet in front,
Yeah.
it's going through and going, what do I need to adjust to make
Exactly.
this
Do I need to
look
hold
white?
back some of my sensitivity to this orange color to make it look add
Right.
a little more blue to make it look white?
Does white balance have anything to do with the iris, Wes?
Yeah.
No, it doesn't.
No.
No, nothing to do with
Although-
the iris. White
although
balance.
It's hard to white balance when your iris is messed up. It's hard.
Yeah.
to
And
white
you
balance
always,
when it's
and one thing that I'm still seeing people do, just as a general reminder, because you might see a scenario or two where Christina, not so bright, does this. Are you ready?
Right.
She has all of her lighting set up. Her camera is about 15 feet from her subject, and because she brought IKEA lights to light with, so they're not very good wattage. So she's not in the light that the subject is in. So in order to white balance, She grabs her white card, holds it directly in front of the lens, and then she shoots her subject, and it looks terrible. So the white balance button must be broken.
The white balance has to be in the lighting that your subject will be in.
Right, so you have to make sure that the white card is in the subject where you're gonna be, or you're white balancing to where the camera is, which makes zero
Which means
sense.
sometimes you have to pick up the camera and go towards the subject.
Yes,
I mean, Christina, you should know that.
I know, I don't know how Christina keeps a job, honestly. What does critical focus mean?
Means if you have like a human subject zooming all the way in as close as you can get towards their eyes and then focusing so that you see all the detail.
Yeah, and it's key. Let me just tell you guys, I will not give you credit at this point in time for zoom in and focus. Zoom all the way in, because if you just say zoom in and focus,
Onto your subject's eyes.
remember, Christina Not So Bright will just zoom in halfway and then critical focus and then not understand why it's not
Why it looks,
focused.
And
why it
then
looks
even-
really bad.
Is also, I could go into the fact that if you have multiple subjects that are at different areas, you need to change your depth of field.
Yeah, or if you have multiple subjects at different areas, you're just gonna have to find a middle focus
Well, you
point.
can also do the
Yeah.
dramatic focusing and then
Right,
like
pull your
somebody
focus.
comes in, somebody starts, like you're focused on the person here and then this person starts talking, so you just focus.
Pull your
on
focus.
them.
It's
You
called
your
pull focus. Yeah.
I love doing that, it's very cinematic.
All right. What's a scrim?
It's a
SCRIM.
little thingy you put in front of your camera so it doesn't, no, in front of the light so it lights less.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh,
It diffuses
okay,
the
it's a
light. It's like a
shade.
little screen, and you put it in front of the camera. Did you guys get that?
Yeah.
Okay. So you would recognize a scrim if you saw it on a test?
Yeah, you put it's a little thing you put up on the front of the camera, like that.
No, not on the camera.
No,
On the light. It looks like a screen, and it goes on the front of the light,
those.
and it's
We
supposed to
have those.
diffuse
I
the
don't know
light.
what
Yeah.
they're called.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Scrim. SCRIM.
Friend.
I think we looked at these, the gel frames.
Hmm?
They're little frames that hold the
They
gels.
clip together.
Yeah.
Aren't they like the little?
Yeah, they're like little square things.
Yeah. And then
Yeah.
okay, that makes
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah. So there's going to be a picture of a gel frame, and you're going to
Although
have to
you have
name
a habit
it.
of just using, you have a habit of just using clothespins on the barn.
Don't tell everyone that.
That's a secret.
I can't
Many times
believe.
I've seen parents-
Okay.
You know, good thing.
All right, now, this is where the rubber meets the road. If I have an f-stop of 16, am I in a very bright location or a very dark location?
You're in a very bright location, right?
Yes, because a 16 f-stop
There's,
means
like,
that it's
really tight shutter.
teeny tiny. As a matter of fact, our 150s don't even have a 16 f-stop.
Because
They
of
only
that.
go to like 8 or
They do. They don't only go to 8. And
Yeah.
normally when I'm like outside or something, I have it down like 1.4, and that's kind of that's as tight as.
and 1.4 is
Or-
really really wide. So
Yeah. Oh,
it
if
is.
it's a low number, that means you're in a really dark location and your iris is way
When I
open.
took my test out here, I had my f-stop at 2.4 when I filmed you,
And it was pretty dark out there.
and it was decent. It was just the little light above you.
Yeah. All right. Neutral density. What is neutral density? Why do we use it?
It's like sunglasses for the camera.
It's
It
for when the iris control just isn't enough and it's way too bright outside. So it kind of, sunglasses, what those do for your eyes.
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah. Would you be able to recognize the preview bus on a switcher? Any switcher?
No, it's the one above the program bus, right?
Preview bus is above the program bus.
Oh, is it?
That's
Oh,
the
is
bottom
I
bus.
don't use preview.
Why not?
Cause it fades in and out.
No, we fixed that, and Amanda
fixed
and
it?
Jonathan used preview. Yeah,
It was Jason.
or Jason.
I was in there too. I was helping out. I was a big help. I was
Yeah,
that
Were you?
guy.
my show
Yeah,
might actually go
nice.
well.
Yeah. Let's hope so. Let's hope
Let's
3 is a
pray.
charm.
Michael was feeling really ill today, so he didn't come in. But I am sending him a picture. I forgot to do that.
When's our next
I'm sending him a picture
ICN?
of
What's the
my
date
gosh.
on that?
The next ICN is
14?
B's. Oh no, wait, we have 2 coming up. We
14th
have
is mine.
Tiva's, which is on Tuesday, which will be shorter. It's only a 5-minute show. Or no, I made her make it a 10-minute show because she's filling in for ICN, but it's 1 anchor
Like,
And we're also gonna be doing, AFA on the same day.
Oh wow, yeah, okay.
Yeah, yeah.
And
I don't know
then
how
the
we're gonna work
14th
that
is
out.
BSICN.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, what's TD stand for?
Technical director.
Yo.
Stereo again.
Yeah.
What do they do?
They
Run the switcher
run
or the TriCaster.
switcher and the TriCaster.
Yeah, that's true. They do.
Lupaka, Lupaka.
Um, okay, so there are some scenarios where Christina Not So Bright has a microphone plugged in to a camera and she's not getting audio. And so she's taken a picture of the side of the camera for you. But so, for example, if Christina Not So Bright has a microphone plugged into the camera and it's an SM58 and she has her input online, could you tell her what's wrong?
You need to switch it down to the mic.
If she has a lavalier plugged in and she has it switched to mic but she still can't hear anything, what does she need to do?
Mic plus 48V, which adds phantom power.
Yeah, which the
Because
lavaliers
are
need.
little tiny condenser
And then
microphones.
remember how there's that little switch where you can, so if she's got her microphone plugged into input 2,
You need to switch to input.
Yeah.
then she needs to make sure that input 2 is not taking input 1.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's some scenarios on there that yeah. Let's see. These are the big ones that I think you're gonna have issue with.
Oh my god. I'm not gonna sit my hair.
Okay, let me turn this on. You're gonna help out Christina Not So Bright. You ready?
Let's help out Christina.
With some camera issues she's having. Okay. So, what's wrong? What's wrong with what Christina's got set up here?
Well,
Is that her shot?
that shot's horrible.
Well, let's so she doesn't care about the shot as much as she's getting ready to set up a shot,
It's
but
on
it's
high
really
gain.
really grainy.
It's on high gain.
It's on high gain. Also, her thing is on auto instead of manual. She doesn't have any.
Her
control
thing
over
is on
f-stop.
auto instead of
Wait,
manual.
doesn't
Wait,
have
the
any control
shape,
over her
the
f-stop.
stabilizing thing, right? Isn't that supposed to be on screen, but it's not?
No, she doesn't need the stabilizing thing,
Okay.
but you're right.
She
One of the
doesn't-
things
she
is
can't
on.
change her f-stop. Her iris is.
Her iris is on auto
Auto,
instead
yeah.
of manual.
I couldn't get
And
the word iris.
and
The gain is high.
and gain is on high, and we know that because of that 18 dB, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see. Let me see what else we got here. Okay. She's got a new problem has arisen. Will you turn off those lights, Jonathan? It's
Okay.
easier to see.
No problem.
A new problem has arisen, and her new problem is that she can't white balance.
'Cause
White
it's on-
balance is broke.
Oh.
It won't white balance.
Her
It's
white
on
balance
preset.
is set to automatic, is on preset.
Yeah,
What
it's
does she
on.
need to do?
She's
She's
put on
set it to
AirB.
A or B.
That's right.
True.
Very good.
Wow.
Let's see, what does she do here? Oh, yeah, yeah. She still has grain issues.
Still green.
Is the low lux on?
Still iris on manual.
Gains on medium.
Yeah, and that would be, so she probably needs to turn off her gain if she feels like it's overlit, right?
Yeah.
But
Is
she can't bring the iris down. Why
is there
can't
a
she bring the
neutral
iris?
density filter on?
No.
No, I couldn't tell if it was on or not.
Is she an auto or manual iris?
She's in auto.
She's an auto,
Because you can't see her f-stop.
right. And she also can't record on her SD cards.
She doesn't have any there. I noticed that on the last one too. She doesn't have Is
Let's
it,
see, trying to see what else. Oh, I guess that's it.
what does the focus zoom switch do?
Oh yeah, that's a good question. Yeah, the camera's broken. The camera's broken. You better call Jim because she's trying to focus and every time she turns the
It's-
focus, it zooms in.
Yeah.
It's because
Michael messed that
that
up.
is set to zoom instead of focus.
I didn't have to deal with that at all during my camera test, but Michael did switch it to zoom. I just immediately looked at the camera and switched it back up.
Ah, clever, very
I didn't know what I
clever.
did exactly, but I was like, I know that's supposed to be on focus. I don't like that.
Good job. So there's going to be several scenarios like that where she's got things screwed up and you're going to have to fix them.
Love those.
You said you love those?
Yeah, I love those. I love Christina Knows the Right Questions.
All right. Could you recognize a waveform monitor? Could you recognize the difference between a waveform and a vector scope?
Yeah. Oh,
Okay.
yeah, for sure.
Vicky? Yeah.
Like
Okay.
a waveform vector scope, no problem.
All right. I know that we didn't talk about shutter speed. I learned that. You have you'll need to know all your camera directions. So pan, zoom, truck, dolly. I think you guys should be familiar with those by now. Yeah. Yeah. It's a matching question. Let's see. Let's see if I can show you this picture. I can. Pick. Oh, I just realized that now I'm probably very, very dark. Oh, wait. Oh, there we go. Okay. So what's the name of that light? It's all because of the lens that's on it. It's a very special lens. It came from lighthouses. Technology in lighthouses, it actually increases the intensity of a light. And maybe we didn't talk about this because you guys are looking very confused.
I don't think we talked about
Okay.
this, but I could have also entirely.
Could you identify the tally light on a camera?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And you know that it's called a tally light. I didn't just give, yeah. Could you identify a tilt lock on a tripod?
Yeah.
Could you identify a pan lock on a tripod?
Yeah.
They're just different little levers.
Yeah, yeah. And they control what?
The tilting and panning.
Yeah. What about pan friction or tilt friction?
Yeah, that is just how easily you can.
Right. And you know what the difference is between balancing ahead and leveling ahead? When you're talking
Yes.
about cameras.
Balance. Leveling is the bottom spinny thing, and then you get the bubble in the center.
Yep.
And then leveling is you just told me this.
Vicky, do you know the difference between balance and level?
Balancing and leveling.
So,
I feel like balancing has to do with like the vertical movement, while leveling is.
yeah, you're pretty close. So when you put that camera on the tripod, if you unlock the tilt lock, if the camera goes whew, and
Oh,
falls
yes.
real far in the front, it's not balanced.
So-
Or if it falls whoop, real far in the back, it's not balanced. So
leveling
when we
is
balance
the little
it,
thingy.
it's balancing it this way.
Yeah.
Leveling is right to make sure the horizon is properly, and we
Yeah.
use the little bubble level on the tripod. Well, I think that pretty much wraps it up. I don't have a lot of questions on there about the switcher because we're really going to use the switcher a lot next semester. So hopefully you'll. I mean, you do need to be able to. Oh, do you need to know the 3 types of keys?
3 types of keys.
Yeah, keys.
Chroma key,
Mm-hmm.
Luma key.
Uh-huh.
Vicky, chroma key, Luma key, what?
Key.
Downstream key.
Downstream key.
Yeah, and the TriCaster is mainly using downstream key, and then when we get into virtual sets, we'll use chroma key. But as long as you know the 3 types of keys, and again, they are what, Vicky?
Chroma key. I already forgot. What is wrong with me?
Luma key
Chroma key, Luma key.
and downstream key,
Downstream.
or DSK. One more time, Vicky.
Chroma key, Luma key, downstream key.
Okay, and B, do you know what the difference is between the 3?
Chroma key has to do with green screening stuff.
Yeah.
Luma key, I couldn't tell you.
Luma key drops out either blacks or whites. It only keys on the luminance or the light value.
Okay. And then the downstream key is essentially like it downstreams an effect into the actual
Yeah,
program.
and downstream keys are always at the top level.
Top of it,
And
just
they have a
shut it
nice
down.
little alpha, so we don't have to do anything. All we have to do is hit a button.
And that's usually with like effects, isn't it? Or graphics.
You find them in switchers. Yeah, you're not gonna find a downstream key in an editing system. You find downstream keyers in switchers. All right, do you guys have any questions for me?
Not really.
Okay.
I am confident in this class.
All right, well, good.